She's April.
And she's Molly.
And we are
the Book Besties. I don't know what Brandon Sanderson's dick looks like.
It's just all the dicks coming at you, man.
Like, maybe what happens in the throne room needs to stay in the throne room.
Marriage is what brings us here today.
Listen, Brandon Sanderson is one of those authors that's known for the thickness of his...
Here's the deal. What the fuck were we talking about?
Don't ask questions if you don't want the answer. March. Second month of the season.
March. You know Piper's going to be 16 soon?
Piper's going to be 16? Shit. Man, that's
How
crazy.
old does that make us feel, Bo?
Yeah, you know what? God.
We have been friends.
You sent me a picture.
Yeah.
You sent Katie and I a picture of Liv. And I was just like,
yes.
What happened? She's got, like, curves.
She's turning into a woman. It's so
I don't
gross.
like it. She spent her first Christmas at my house.
They were babies. I mean, you've known me since Livia was incubating inside of me.
Were you pregnant when we met? I don't think you were.
No.
Yeah, it was before you were pregnant.
It was before I was pregnant with Livy. Yeah. So that picture was from the county's. We did this big science expo with local, like the local community and like all these local businesses. Because we're here in the DC greater area, so they're trying to always get kids into STEM. Her teacher presented her and asked her to take a PowerPoint she made on great white sharks and turn it into a massive display for the oceanic team here for the county. And they turned it into this massive interactive display.
That's really cool.
Livia volunteered for to manage.
That's really cool.
Livia, who wouldn't talk to strangers till she was almost 7.
Yeah.
I'm really fucking proud of that kid.
Yeah.
She's getting out of her shell. She's becoming her own person. I love her so much. I'm so proud of that kid.
I'm super proud of her too. I may have told this story on the podcast before, but I babysat for you a couple of times. And one time I babysat for you, Liv was like well asleep because she was like a baby.
Oh, baby.
And I think Tom was probably like on duty that night. And
and Matt was on nights and I had to go to Alyssa's graduation.
Yeah, so I came over to your house and I babysat the kids, and Piper woke up at one point and she comes out and she's like, where's my mom? And I'm like, well, your mommy's not here. Miss April's here. Like, do you want me to get you some water? And she's like, my mommy gives me water every day. And I was just like, good. That's life sustaining. I'm so glad she does that for you.
She is just, oh my God.
So you want to hear what my kid did today? My oldest kid. So James was supposed to be camping with scouts. Like, they do that a lot. But we just went through this like random snowstorm and like everything's been shut down. I haven't worked in 5 days. We only had one day that I worked last week because it was President's Day, because wibbly wobbly timey-wimey, we're filming this the week before it goes live. So he wasn't supposed to be at church today, but today was Youth Sunday. And when he found out he was going to be there, I texted his youth group leader and was like, hey, he can be there now. Is there anything that you need him to do? Mm-hmm. She's like, yes, I need him to be in charge of the candles. And I was like, cool. I'm thinking like lighting candles, like on the altar or whatever, but that's not how we roll in the
Giving
Baptist
an elementary kid fire sounds like a great idea.
He's not in elementary school. He's in middle school.
I mean, he's 5th grade. That's elementary still.
He's 6th grade.
God damn it. Why do I keep doing that?
He's turning 12 in a couple weeks.
Why do I keep doing that? Anyways, okay, 6th grade, middle school, moving on.
So, anyway, in our bulletin, our church bulletin, he was listed as candle management.
I mean,
I was like, we got to have a candle manager. His job today was to pass out candles because their theme was like, live in the light. And so all of them had candles and they were like showing their light. And it was really cute. But like you should have seen him. Like in the first service, he was like, what am I doing? And then in the second service, he was like directing the youth, like, this row come forward, this row come forward.
No,
And
not
like,
you.
grab
You
a
wait.
candle, grab a candle. Hold up. We're still on this row. I was just like
making sure everybody's lights are off and everybody's lights are on.
And then his youth leader was like, he did such a good job. And I was like, thank you. I'm so proud of my kid who managed candles. There were literally kids on stage giving the sermon.
But you know what? He took candles as serious as the kids that did sermons took it.
I know he did.
I mean?
And he wasn't supposed to be there. So like, I didn't want her to like create something for him. You know, I figured he could help in the kitchen because the youth group, like they threw lunch for everybody and it was like a fundraiser for camp. But she made him the candle manager. And I was just like,
you know what though? As someone that, look, I was treated different because I was a different kid.
Uh-huh.
And I know what that's like growing up.
Uh-huh.
So as someone that was given a lot of fake jobs to keep busy, sometimes it's okay.
I really legitimately, they needed somebody to pass out candles. It could have been an adult, but it was James. And I was proud of him. And related note, yesterday we went to see Dogman.
Yeah.
And one of the robots that the cat villain creates is called 80 HD. 80 HD.
You're like, yeah, Molly!
And all four of us are sitting in a row just laughing our asses off at 80 HD.
Nice.
And then Sam was like, it doesn't make any sense that little Petey, the baby cat, just can like talk right after he's made from a clone. Like he can just talk right away. Like how is he moving around and talking? And I'm like, that's what you find unrealistic in a movie about a dog's head that's attached to a cop's body so that they both survive. That's the part that's unrealistic to you.
That's your line here, kid. Huh? I get it. He can rationalize. There's a lot of things I can rationalize away.
He's like, no, that's unrealistic too. But also, it really bothers me that little Petey can talk.
It's creepy. If a baby came out just saying full words, you would throw it down the hall like a football. You know what I mean? Like, would just, what the fuck? You literally just started breathing air. How the fuck do you know words? He's not wrong. It's mildly satanic. I would agree.
And like Petey is a cat and he talks, but Dogman is a dog head and the dog doesn't talk.
Why does Pluto bark and Goofy have words?
I don't know.
It's not fucking right.
I don't know. Why does Minnie Mouse have a cat for a pet?
And I mean, we're just talking about cartoons. Our world doesn't make sense in general. And if we can't even keep dogs straight, how are we supposed to keep our world
straight?
Which
is great, because today's book is a fantasy book. We are covering Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. It kind of falls... Did I lose you?
I was thinking about... Okay. So I've been doing this thing for this book because I was struggling to keep track because the ADHD is...
This book is challenging.
And so I was doing like a Marvel style breakdown for Matt of every time I saw him and he came home, and I'd be like, all right, so this is what's happening. And like in the chaotic way. And I was trying to explain to him the oceans and I couldn't explain the seas. And then you explained it to me, and I was like, it's kind of like aquarium glass. You know, the cheapy shit, clear plastic stuff? It's that, but it go boom.
Yeah.
It go boom.
I kept picturing it like diamond art.
Okay.
Like these little beads that like move.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was like, animated or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they had
but Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson, it kind of plays with the line of fantasy and sci-fi because there are definitely aliens in it, but there's also dragons and a sorcerer and pirates. And if you have read Brandon Sanderson before, what'd you say?
Witchcraft and wizardry.
Yeah, there's all sorts of things. So if you've read Brandon Sanderson before, which we have not, you know that that's kind of like his sweet spot is like the fantasy sci-fi. That's what the Cosmere is. It's a kind of a combination of both. And Tress of the Emerald Sea is not where you're supposed to start with the Cosmere. Like, we understand that. However,
It's the only solo book.
We have been recommended Brandon Sanderson multiple times. And rather than tackling a book that's bigger than my head, we chose one that was more accessible.
It wasn't suggested. It has been asked to me at least every season. When he has
we've been asked many times to cover Brandon Sanderson. So we picked Tress of the Emerald Sea. It was probably a good starting point for us because it got us both kind of interested, but it doesn't fit like the same way in the Cosmere that like the other books do.
But it's also kind of light, and we kind of needed that after all that romance.
Girl, I needed a break from romance. I have been reading nothing but romance since November.
It's just all the dicks coming at you, man.
It was a lot of dicks. There was a book that had 3 dicks in it. It was
That's too many penises.
That's too many penises.
To the penises.
Slices.
Okay.
So we read Tress of the Emerald Sea, and I'm going to be honest with you before I give the synopsis. Molly, I think this is the hardest book we've covered to write questions about.
I made it like 4 hours in, and I looked at Matt and I took my earbuds out and I go, I am so glad I'm not hosting this episode.
This is harder than when we've had to like host authors and like we have to come up with like questions for the author. It was hard.
It was on my short list last season to go on, and like I kind of skimmed it a little bit, and I was like, I'm not writing questions for
I
this.
actually put it on the pod last season, but took it off because we were already doing the Light Pirate, and I was like, we don't need to do 2 pirate books. And then the Light Pirate's not even about fucking piracy.
It wasn't even a fucking pirate book!
Not even a fucking pirate book!
Not even a goddamn book about pirates! It's metaphoric piracy, guys. Metaphors.
And it's not really even about light. I still don't. I can't.
Hi, friends. Hi, friends on the internet. I want to talk to our Spotify listeners specifically. We do have one comment on Spotify, and she goes, oh, that's disappointing. I really liked this book.
I mean, good for her.
I'm really so happy for you, friend, but I don't know if your content and our content might be the same cohesive stuff. But please keep joining us.
Well, there's a TikToker who I really like, except every time that he slams on To Kill a Mockingbird. And he, like, loved The Light Pirate. And I was like, sir, let's be fucking for real for a moment. Anyway, he also liked Big Swiss, though. So maybe I should just stop liking this content creator. All right, so synopsis.
Please.
Okay. Tress lives in a world where water is a necessity that could actually lead to your death. The reason is due entirely to the spores poured down from the moons. Mm-hmm. While these spores could be helpful, some are just downright vicious. And while spores may differ in what they do, they are all activated by water or liquid because it can like be your sweat or if it gets in your eye. Like, and yeah, your blood, all that kind of stuff.
Urine, whatever.
Yeah, don't pee on the spores. That's a bad idea.
Don't pee on anything, honestly.
These spores form together to make the 7 seas named after each one of the moons, which I'm guessing has more to do with the Cosmere. And unfortunately for Tress, these dangerous seas are her only chance to save the love of her life, Charlie. Charlie is the Duke's son, but Tress is just a window washer.
I mean, yeah.
So when the Duke sees the sparks between Charlie and Tress, he immediately takes Charlie away on a tour to find him a proper wife.
Because fuck Charlie, those girls that grow up on the rock.
Right. Charlie vows to Tress that he will do everything in his power to come back to her. Unfortunately, the Duke catches wind of this plan and banishes Charlie to his death by forcing him to sail the Midnight Sea, which is the most dangerous, in search of the sorceress. When Tress learns of this, she devises a plan to rescue her love. And all of this is just backstory that takes place in the first 50-ish pages of the book. Like, everything I've said so far is not even the story.
It takes a minute, guys.
It really does. The real story of Tress and of the Emerald Sea is one of unintentional piracy, curses, found family, and a bravery Tress didn't know she possessed. Armed with only her audacious love of Charlie, her newly found rat friend Huck, and spores she has no business experimenting on, Tress heads towards an adventure that could absolutely be her end. The rest of the story will have to be explained through our discussion because this book is really beautifully written, but I
Weird,
just don't know
guys.
how to explain it.
Fucking weird in a good way. Like a
So
good,
that's your
not
synopsis.
big Swiss weird, not light pirate weird.
Mm-mm.
It's, you know what's between the two? Shark Heart. That's
I
the
would
weird scale for me.
say that if you liked Sharkheart, you would like this book.
Yes.
Yeah.
In on a scale. It's not the same,
No.
but you would enjoy it because of the whimsy.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. And I'm going to start with questions because, like I said, like it
Please.
was really hard to write a synopsis for this because literally my whole synopsis is the first 50 pages. Like it's not
It's so
it's
fucking
not really the story. Okay, so bear with us because there are a lot of questions this episode and I will
Mhm.
try to keep us to an hour.
No,
But I don't make
this
any promises this week.
this book deserves a detailed conversation.
Yes, and I don't think we can get away with not having one because
No. No, and
there's just so many moving parts.
you guys yelled at us like for Harry Potter and all those books when we like skipped major details. Again, we're going to say
Well,
this once and say it only.
this book is
We
only
can only cover so much.
365 pages. Like we've read romance novels longer than this.
But the
And
detail,
there's
but the
so much
detail.
stuff that happens in those 365 pages. All right, so let's go into the questions. All right, so you and I have never read Brandon Sanderson before, but we have, like we said, we've had it multiple times recommended to us. So we picked to read Tress, even though that's not where it's recommended that you start. If you want to know where to start in the Cosmere, you can actually, there's a lot of TikTokers, there's a Reddit thread, and Brandon Sanderson has a video on YouTube that's linked on his website. I can link it below, where he explains where he would start if you wanted to get into him.
Yeah, just take it from the author.
Well, he actually has 3 different starting points, so I don't even know that you can.
Oh my God, mother.
So would you say that this book stands on its own, and did it inspire you to read more Brandon Sanderson in the future?
This book absolutely could be a standalone, without a doubt. If there's more to come from the Emerald Sea era, cool. But like this reads like a standalone.
I think that probably Hoyd is like a character in other books. And
like he's our narrator. Yeah, like he's our storyteller for like he's our ocean traveler. He's our troubadour per se, right?
Yes.
Oh, excuse me. I apologize. I can't control it, man. It just happens. I'm not singing right now. Take the win. I will absolutely read Brandon Sanderson again.
Yeah.
I'm really mad at myself that I haven't read him up to now. I'm really mad I wasted so many years not having him in my life.
Yeah, I actually asked Tom if he could get all the audiobooks for us on our shared app that is completely legit.
Legal.
That we use. So I asked him if he would get all of them because I want to read them. And I have gone through several different like reading lists for where you should start, and because he has like some novella collections that you should read pieces and parts of in between books, like it's multiple books in the book, so you should read like this one here and this one there. So I plan to read him, but his content is like so vast that the amount of time it's going to take me to catch up is like it's not going to happen anytime soon.
My oldest, she is a long living stan of Brandon Sanderson. She has a lot of his books down in her room. And like, she brought me her copy and she goes, there's notes. Like, she was so stoked we're finally covering him.
Yeah.
Like,
I did not put this as a question, Molly, but I do want to talk about this now that you've brought up that Piper is a fan, because this is not YA fantasy. I need everyone to hear that. But it also is not romantasy. It is romantasy, but it's not the kind of romantasy you get from things like ACOTAR and Fourth Wing. No. So Brandon Sanderson has talked about publicly how if he were a woman, his books would be classified as YA.
Yep.
And that the only reason that they're not is because he's a man. And he uses examples like Sarah J. Maas, who started as a YA author, and then her books progressively got more graphic, so she got moved to like the adult section of bookstores and libraries. But he's talked very, and it made me think about when we read Beach Read by Emily Henry, and
Yes.
January, the author of the female main character, her name is January. She
Hmm.
talked about the fact that the only reason that her books were considered women's fiction was because she was a woman,
Yep.
because it wasn't any
I
different
mean,
than what like Nicholas Sparks was writing, and he's in the
no,
fiction section.
it's good for him first and foremost calling out the sexism. Like he
Yeah,
knows, you know what I mean? He is one of those writers that knows that he is making massive waves. He
yeah,
knows that he's making an impact. And
yeah.
instead of like hiding behind his name, like we're not going to say names, Nicholas Sparks, but hating behind those, or I don't know, James Patterson, those behind those that create for us and put our names on it. Instead, we raise them people up. I have
Hmm.
seen the most of the reasons I see Brandon Sanderson on my FYP is because he's promoting somebody else's book.
Yeah.
It's usually a woman's book, a person of color's book, a new author's book.
I
He is
I
for us
feel like
only.
he is a modern day Tolkien. He's
Yep.
created an entire world. I don't know that he's created languages like Tolkien did. Like that man was cray cray. Like he went, like when we talk about authors going down rabbit holes, nobody did it like Tolkien. Like he invented a whole motherfucking language. I
I'm
know that
working
you
on
have
it.
done a lot, Molly, but he
I'm
invented
working on it.
a whole language.
I just finished a government system and I'm
Hmm.
about to start a currency.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I
that's
really
wild.
think that
I get it.
Brandon Sanderson is like the modern day equivalent. Like what he's doing is creating this big epic world,
We
and
have a couple
and
authors
people
like
are eating it up. And we're speaking as someone that, as people that have only read Tress, you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But I will
Oh,
definitely go down
he's
the rabbit hole of Brandon Sanderson.
100%.
Hmm. Yeah.
I'm not giving up on him. He's just
How was the audiobook? Because I read this as a
it
physical
was
book.
really good. The narrator was um I'll find the name and put it in the things,
Uh-huh.
but it's one of the traditional ones, like the
Uh-huh.
old school traditional ones where you're like, "Oh my god, I love this guy. I know his voice from everything. He
Yeah.
does a lot of fantasy stuff."
Hmm.
Let me pull it up
Well, I
because it's
figure
gonna bug
since
you.
Brandon Sanderson has a big name, he probably has good audiobook narrators. Because sometimes, like, you get, first time authors and indie authors who are not getting the same
Okay.
actor
It was
quality.
it was Michael Kramer.
Oh, well, fuck. That's going to be amazing.
It was amazing.
Well,
I could
I physically read this book because I
yeah.
like to do that when I'm the host. And this copy is actually a library copy. Support local libraries. All right, so we're only on question 2. This is not looking good for us. All right, Tress
It's
is
fine.
described as having wild hair but a timid
Mhm.
spirit.
Yeah.
She starts the novel by taming her hair. She keeps it
Mhm.
back. But she ends with letting her hair flow. So, did you like
Yeah.
this metaphor for like how she changed as a person?
Yes. And this isn't like his only use of metaphors throughout
Oh,
this book.
100%.
He uses them to tell deepness. He uses
Mm-hmm.
them to make jokes. He uses metaphors throughout. He is the king of metaphors, and that's coming from me, who loves a good metaphor. Um, I am known for my metaphors. I stop touching the mic. Your husband's gonna kill me.
He's gonna kill
Um,
you.
he's gonna kill me.
Mm-hmm.
But he he really gives us this journey
Mm-hmm.
with Tress.
Yeah.
This beautiful girl that just is trying to find herself. And why, yes, this is a romance novel. This is also a novel about a girl finding herself,
Yeah.
finding her place in the world and figuring out who she is.
The thing is,
And
I
the
wouldn't think that people would consider this romantasy, even though it has romance elements in it, even though she's like trying to save the man she loves. I don't feel like that connection is the point of this book. Like, I know that
but
that's why she went on the journey, but it doesn't feel like that to me.
but the romance in this book isn't of love and lust. The
Mm-mm.
romance in this book is of falling in love with a family that's new to you.
Yeah,
That
that's true.
this isn't romantic love. This is some familial love. This is
Yeah.
warm family love.
I
This is
love the found family vibes. We on Book Besties love found family anyway, and fantasy novels really do found family best. I'm just gonna put that out there. They do it best. And I definitely think that was good, but I just loved the metaphor. This was very English teacher brainy of me. Like I
yeah.
loved the metaphor of the more wild spirit she became, the more
Yes.
untamed her hair was.
The more Tress released herself
Mm-hmm.
from her burdens, her worries, her stresses, the more Tress discovered herself, the more wild her hair became,
Yeah.
right?
It was like women wearing pants. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my
For the
god.
first
Yes.
time. Like, I have this power. I'm going to wear pants now. I don't know. It was just really cool. All right. So
Yeah.
from the beginning of the book, I fully, and I texted you about this, I had Princess Bride vibes. Both like the
Absolutely.
book, because I've read the book and the movie. And in Sanderson's postscript, because he doesn't have an author's note, he's pretentious, so he has a postscript. I love it though. He explains that this book was actually inspired in part by The Princess Bride.
Right.
Did you think that this book lived up to the absolute treasure that is Princess Bride? And then how do you feel it compares to last week where we covered a book that was based on the pop culture phenomenon of When Harry Met Sally?
So I've never read the book Princess Bride. I've
You
only
don't need
watched the
to. The
movie.
movie is a very good adaptation and actually kind of better, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay. Well, marriage is what brings us here today.
Marriage.
Marriage. Anyways, I will quote that movie all day and night.
Same.
Uh,
And you know what? My husband
I
does not like the movie. I know. I should have known better.
go to your corner,
He didn't even
Tom.
see it until a
Go
couple of years ago, Molly. He had never
go to your
seen it.
fucking room, Thomas.
I know. I know. Right?
Mad at you
Mm,
now,
mm.
my brother from another mother. Look, Princess Bride was my go-to when I was alone
Yeah.
as a kid. Princess Bride was my found family growing up. I freaking love Billy Crystal in it.
Hmm.
It's just has a warm spot in my heart because I watched that right after I watched The Neverending Story as a
Yes,
kid,
those were movies that built our childhood.
and The Neverending Story broke me, and
Oh, gosh.
Princess Bride healed me. Um,
Treo.
anyway,
Treo.
I can't even. I really was more concerned about quicksand and mud as a child than I should have been.
I wish for sure that it would be a bigger problem.
I really did too. Here's the deal. What the fuck were we talking about?
Did it hold up to Princess Bride?
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, I gave Tress a 4.75.
And I gave it a 4.5.
So, like, yes, it
Mm-hmm.
absolutely did. It's cozy fantasy. I
Yeah, it's
fucking love cozy
so good.
fantasy. It makes my heart happy.
Yeah,
It gives me a respite from the world we're in.
yeah,
And that's what fucking Tress is cozy
yeah,
fantasy.
yeah. And the second part of that is last week we talked about a book, You Again, which was based basically on When Harry Met Sally. That
But it
is an
wasn't.
example of how not to adapt a book based
Okay,
on a movie.
I'm working on a sci-fi novel right now.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite TV shows, reality shows, is Big Brother.
Mm-hmm.
Is it mildly supported by that? Yes. But am
Mm-hmm.
I gonna fucking say, oh, this is because of Big Brother, this is Big Brother, Big Brother, Big Brother, when I no, because I don't know. I don't feel like you should stand on a soapbox and scream, this is what this is, if you're not 100%.
If you're not going to live up to the source material, you might as well not even reference it in your
and
interviews.
and you know what? I'm sure last week's author, she probably felt that way. She probably felt that she gave her 5-star best effort Harry Met Sally modern take. Happy for her.
But she
But
didn't.
as a reader, I don't feel that way. I don't vibe that
Yeah.
way. And when we claim source material as our inspiration, people it's like when people talk about Grace and like, oh, Grace inspired this, Grace. No, we can't do that unless you really are taking and making it your own.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just taking the plot line and the structure and just putting
Mm-hmm.
new things in, we're playing house. We're not playing author.
Right.
If that makes sense. That
Yeah,
doesn't make
it
sense.
does. All right, so let's dig into the story because we're
Okay.
30 minutes in.
Yeah.
Tress has never left her island. You're not allowed to leave the rock.
The Rock.
But she makes a
Not
bold
The Rock.
not Dwayne the Rock. The Rock.
Or the movie with Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery.
Oh, forgot about that movie. But she makes the bold decision to rescue Charlie, the man she loves. Her plan seems to be foiled from the beginning as we read that the dock inspector has caught her. But things are not as they seem. What did you think about this bait and switch? And how about the fact that even when she is safely makes it aboard a ship, she's immediately poisoned and taken prisoner?
This shows how naive Tress was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, she was clever for the rock, and she
Mm-hmm.
was clever for her family,
Mm-hmm.
and she was beloved on the island. However,
Yeah.
you can't trust everyone.
I
And Tress
think
learned that the fucking hard way.
I feel like this is an example of what Hoyd said continuously. He kept talking about how thoughtful she was and how she was more intelligent than most people
Mhm.
because she actually thought about things.
Yeah.
This plan to get her on the ship, like, of course, she didn't expect to be poisoned. Nobody would have expected that. But
I
um
mean,
the fact that
I'm
she
gonna trust some people.
pretended to be the inspector from the
That was
beginning of this
ballsy.
book, I mean, we're only like, I don't know, maybe 20 pages in at this point, and I'm like, shit, that was really smart. Like, it was really smart writing.
But in what I really enjoyed about that whole section,
Molly, you
what I
cannot
really
move away from your microphone and keep talking like I'm supposed to be able to hear
I
you.
apologize. I am so sorry. What I really enjoyed about that whole section is during this time frame, we are getting the story told as different points of views, right? So we get the Duke. We get it's still third person, but we get a little backstory, right? We
Mm-hmm.
get backstory about her dad and how we got all of this all the way to that point.
Yeah.
Hi, Bailey. Bye, Bailey. ADHD, man.
Mm-hmm.
I got 80 of them, man. Um,
I got ADHDs.
but I just, I don't know. I like it. I like
Well,
it.
I'm gonna skip a little bit further down because you've brought up something that I think would be good to talk about it
Behoove
now.
us.
So, we don't know until like uh until she's on the crows.
Prose.
I,
Fuck. What
I
is it
have it in
called?
my notes here. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The Crow song. Until she's on the Crow song, we don't know who's telling the story. It feels like it's being told in third person, and then all of a sudden, there's this character using I, because Hoyd is the one. Is that how they say it in the audiobook? Hoyd.
Wait.
Okay, that's
Wait.
how it seemed like that was the right way to say it.
Yeah.
So he introduces himself using I, and he's the one that's actually telling the story. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
I was initially confused as to how
Yeah.
Hoyd was the narrator. I was like, what the
Yeah.
hell? And I have to say that part of the choice to make Hoyd the narrator is why I only gave this book a 4.5. I do feel like Hoyd is a great narrator, but because we couldn't put a point of reference to Hoyd, it made it hard for us, I think.
Oh, see, I liked him as a narrator. My rating is because of the ending,
That's
not
funny.
because of yeah.
That's funny. Did you
Yeah.
find him to be a reliable narrator?
Yes and no.
What the hell
Like,
is
okay,
happening next to me?
we got Bailey, huh?
Who knows?
So in the beginning, like I trusted him. Obviously, we trust him. It's just the
Why did you
narrator.
trust him? He was not in the right mind. He literally told you that
But we didn't
repeatedly.
know that. We
No,
didn't
he
know
told you
that.
that repeatedly. He told us that he wasn't in the right mind.
But I feel, I don't know. I'm not in my right mind. Do you trust me?
Not really.
Fuck off. Fuck off.
Don't ask questions if you don't want the answer.
That's fair. That's fair.
I don't think
But
he was a
no.
reliable narrator, and I really struggled with the fact that he was able to tell all parts of the story, even the parts that he wasn't in. So it's
Oh no.
almost like when we're reading Fourth Wing and everything's being filtered through, like, Jacinia is the one that
Mhm.
has been writing it, so we know she survives.
Yeah.
Spoilers for anyone that's not, read
Yeah.
Fourth Wing. But we know she's going to survive to the end because she writes the
Right.
story. But it's
Right.
like, girl, did you need to go in that much detail about what happens in the throne room? Like, maybe what happens in the throne room needs to stay in the throne room.
Well, maybe Jacinia and Hoyt have the same problem. the
They're cursed
all-seeing
by
eye,
sorceresses.
that they just both have the unseeing eye, the ability to be a narrator. Maybe it's a magical power we don't know about.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
All right. Tress meets the rat Huck while they are both imprisoned on the first ship that she's on. The
Hmm.
two become fast friends, and
Yes.
Tress actually rescues Huck when she's escaping the sinking ship by walking on the the spore sea. Huck pledges his allegiance for saving his life. What did you
Hmm.
think of their unlikely friendship?
I mean, we need an animal sidekick. We got practically a Disney princess. Of
I
course,
was
she's
going to
gonna have
say,
an animal
you have an
sidekick.
animal sidekick. Your
A
father's the
Disney
king. You're a princess.
Disney princess. I mean, she's
Although
practically
she's
a
a window
fucking.
washer, so her
I mean,
parents are not wealthy.
Cinderella, yo, Cinderella.
Okay. Cinderella, Cinderella.
I want it noted. I didn't sing today. That was not me. Tom, give her a point. There.
That's fine. I'll take it. All right. Up to this point, we are only 58 pages into the book. The real story is just now starting.
Of course it is.
Tress is hauled aboard the Crow Song after successfully hanging off of the side of it for 15 minutes, which, girl, brave. Unfortunately for Tress, this is where her real trouble begins.
Yeah.
The Crow's Song's captain, which is Captain Crow, is a pretty evil captain. She's making her crew dead runners, which is essentially murderous pirates. They didn't want that. They were fine with being pirates, but they didn't want to be murderous pirates. So without their choice or matter, she's doing this.
Yeah.
It takes most of the book for us to learn the real reason why, which it turns out that Crow is a spore swallower who is now an incubator for the spores. And her condition is fatal. But she plans to ask the dragon Xysis to save her in exchange for one of her crew, and that crew member has to be the least afraid of spores. And obviously, this is a spoiler here, but this plan ends very poorly for Crow. So I want to talk about the bravery of Tress in the face of
Okay.
a literal dragon.
I mean, she's brave
And what
throughout
are your
this.
thoughts on the storyline?
Okay, so this girl's been ballsy every step of the way.
Yeah.
She keeps adding fuel to the fire. She even tries
Yeah.
to escape at one point and then realizes, oh fuck, I'm not going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
So that's her Hail Mary shot. That was her Hail
Yeah.
Mary shot to stay alive
Yeah.
and save the man she loves. And that's
It,
all she was thinking about.
she embodies the quote, be afraid and do it anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, one of the things about her that kind of reminded me of like Katniss is that Katniss wasn't seeking to be a revolutionary. She was seeking to be alive.
Yep.
And
that's
that
what
is a
Tress
lot of what
does.
Tress is doing. She's just trying to stay alive.
It's putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's life with trauma sometimes. You just got to figure out the next steps. And
Yeah.
that's what she was doing. She's like, shit, this isn't how my life was supposed to go. This
Yeah.
isn't what I wanted. I was just going to fall in love with the boy that pretends to be a freaking gardener when he's not.
Yeah.
That's fine. But now I'm standing in front of a fucking dragon bargaining for my life. It's fine.
Yeah.
It made sense. With the storyline and the direction this went, it made sense.
Yeah, I agree. I really liked it, and I like that clever trickery, like that bait and switch. I just thought, wow, that was really smart of her. And I mean, I thought it was really cool. All right, so Hoyd chooses not to release the names of all of the members of the crew. We only get some of their names. He calls everyone else Doug. What did you think of this writing choice to not give us names, to just have everyone be the Dougs?
Okay. Do you remember back in Nerd Moms when we were all playing that stupid wizard game and we kept having the same 4 blonde characters? We all kept talking. Okay.
I don't remember that.
Okay, so there's this Harry Potter game on phones, okay? And Nerd Moms back in the day, like 4 or 5 years ago, we were all having issues with the same type of character, blonde, Gryffindor, whatever. And we kept calling him Bryce because everybody's blonde male character looked like a Bryce. So, you know, sometimes they're Dougs, sometimes they're all fucking Joshes, or maybe they are fucking Judys. You never know.
I thought it was a really great nod to how we do that in social media. Like, if you're kind of bitchy, you're a Karen. You
Yep.
know, if you're like, I don't know. I always picture Doug's more as like 50 First Dates, the character Doug played
Oh,
by.
when I think of Doug like the kids show from when you were kids.
I love that song or that show. Do 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 do. Tom is
Anyways,
dancing next to me. I want that noted on here.
but here's the thing. Like, if you get a group of Kyles together, somebody's gonna punch a wall. If
Yeah.
you have a bunch of Karens together, somebody's gonna bitch. It's
If you have a Carl, someone is undoubtedly going to say, "Damn it, Carl."
or you meet Janet, somebody's gonna go, damn it, Janet, I love you. Anyways,
There you go, singing. All right.
you win.
Speaking of
Whatever.
key players, we learned the names of Hoyd, Captain
Yes.
Crow, Laggart, which is the first mate and cannon master, Fort, the quartermaster, and the assistant cannon master, Saleh. I'm not sure if it's pronounced Saleh or
Saleh.
Saleh. Saleh?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how I was saying it. She's the helmswoman, and Ulam, which is the undead ship's surgeon.
So, real quick for Saleh, halfway through the book, the narrator switched from Jamaican to Greek accent for her.
Why?
I don't fucking know.
Decisions were made. So what did
Choices
you
were
think
made.
of these characters, and did you have a favorite?
Oh, I loved the doctor.
I did too.
Doctor so much, and they gave him this voice, you know, like
Gosh.
you know, like in like the older movies with like Dick Van Dyke, and there was always one guy that talked like this, you know, and like his voice was always like that. That was him. Like he was like
I was
he was my
picturing
favorite.
Ulam like the. Did you read the sequel to Oh gosh, hang on.
He gave me Mad Hatter vibes. Like that's that's where I stood with him. Like I was like, oh shit.
Oh, did you read the sequel to Anatomy, Immortality?
Yeah, no, not yet.
Okay, there's a character in Immortality that is immortal
Okay.
and is a doctor and has
Okay.
invented, and he's like collecting body parts, which also there's a character in Anatomy that's having that happen too. That's how I was picturing him. I was just picturing him like, I have 6 fingers now, and
Like,
I have 3 ears.
It was like Willy Wonka and like Mad Hatter for me,
But with
like
body parts.
with body parts, right? Like when he came to her room and he was like, I just came by to give you a hand, and she's like, do you really have a hand behind your back? And he's like, no.
It's like that quote from The Good Place. I've asked for the file. Do you actually have it, or do you have a cactus?
I have the file for you, Michael, right here.
Eleanor
Wonderful,
Shulstrup.
Nope. Wonderful, Jean. Give it to me.
Yeah, he was my favorite too. I kind of liked Anne. She was very brave, but so stupid. Like,
yes.
She was very brave. She stood up to the captain. She was literally driving the ship.
She loves guns, but isn't allowed to touch them.
No, I was thinking of. Wait, was Anne the one that believed that Tress was like the Knight's Guard, the Night King's?
No, that was the kitchen.
That was
cook.
Saleh, right?
Yeah, Saleh.
Yeah, that's who I meant. I really liked her. She was really, really good at her job,
Saleh's
but
a dude.
really stupid. Huh?
Saleh's a big dude. The kitchen guy's a dude.
Yeah. What?
Yeah.
They use she pronouns.
Oh, they make it like a man. I
don't think so. They call her a helmswoman.
I think we're mixing up characters, you and I.
Who are you thinking of?
The cook.
Oh, that's the quartermaster. That's Fort.
Okay, I'm mixing characters up.
Which, by the way, Tom's best friend was a quartermaster. And so when Fort was like making food and like taking care of everybody, I was like, what does a quartermaster do? Because this is not what Jeremy did. I was like, don't they do mops? Like, what is happening? There were a
Look,
lot of nautical terms in here that I would have to like stop reading and ask Tom. And I was like, I don't think Molly's probably having the same difficulty that I am because you were in the Coast Guard, but like I don't know enough about boats. So
I
I had
mean,
to like ask questions.
I know enough about boats to say so.
Yeah. All right. Least favorite character for me wasn't even Captain Crow. It was really Laggart. There's no point in him being that kind of a dick.
My least favorite character, I don't know if I have one.
I mean, he served a purpose, but he was, yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I don't know
All
if I
right.
have.
Since Tress is not a pirate, but still needs to sail the seas in order to reach Charlie, she becomes the ship's sprouter, which is the person that's responsible for the spores.
Yeah.
Um, how they use them, because spores can actually be used to seal holes in ships.
Different
They
kinds of spores
create the
for different things.
cannonballs, which that's not how cannonballs work. Like they have the activator inside the ball. That's not how this works. But
The science
anyway,
is behind thing.
uh there's various other things that you can do, but they're all pretty dangerous tasks. So Tress knows very little about the spores
Mm-hmm.
by beyond avoiding them. What did you think about her growth in learning more and more about how to use the spores?
Boy, this girl has a death wish.
I know, right?
But I mean,
This
we
shit
were.
blows up and will eat through your face. Let's experiment on it.
I mean,
Science.
but also, it reminds me of that scene in the second Avengers movie, the last one, where like they're trying to figure out time travel, and they throw Scott in, and Scott comes out, and Scott comes in, and and he's like, Scott's a baby. Why is he a baby? And Hulk's like, science! I did
Science.
it! We did it!
We
No.
scienced the fuck out of it.
No.
Uh,
It's part zealous, it's part stupidity. I mean, we're all that dumb, naive, and a little brave in our late teens and early 20s.
yeah. Yeah. All right, just as soon as Tress has figured out how to defeat Crow and start a mutiny, she and her friends are captured by Lagger, and this is why I didn't like him, because he had no reason to do it.
None.
They're also injured, like nearly fatally. So what did you think about this turn of events? Was it too predictable that they would, you know, face that near-death experience?
I mean, it just. I don't know how to explain this, but it just fell flat for me. Like,
It did for
this.
me, too.
It fell flat. This ending fell flat in a lot of ways for me.
Yeah. For me, this is an example of like trying to push the story forward and give Tress another like hero mentality. But there were
Yeah.
just so many examples of it in this
There's just.
book that like there were parts that drug
Yes.
on. Even this, which is like action packed, I was like, really?
We don't need this. We don't
No,
need this. Like,
we don't.
I get your point, Brandon. I really do. It just
Mm-hmm.
pare down.
Honestly, the part that I found to be the worst wasn't even like the shooting or the stabbing. It was Fort's board being broken. Like he lost his only means of communication. That was heartbreaking.
So fucked up.
Like
That was
you can
so
lose a
fucked
leg,
up.
but he can't communicate anymore.
Right. And like, it's not like any of you fools know the sign language he knows.
Right. Right.
You guys suck. You guys fucking suck.
Right.
That's what really upset me.
Yeah,
That's
me too.
What really upset
that was
me.
the one that I was like, seriously, you broke his board? Like,
That
all
was
right,
what
when
upset
Tress
me.
convinces the crew to sail the Midnight Sea to save Charlie, she knows this could be the death of them all.
Yeah.
But the crew is 100% behind her, except for like Laggart.
But
she has
gets
a
locked
really
up.
interesting conversation with Ulam about why the crew would choose to help her. What do you think about the crew seeking redemption this way? And was it self-preservation or was it a trade?
I think it was more they cared about Tress by this point. And they couldn't really turn back. They had already fucking made themselves villains, even if it was against their will. So it was either this or keep sailing as bad guys.
Yeah.
At least if they save the Duke's son, there's a chance to be redeemed, right? Yeah. There's a chance to find some sort of victory and be like, look, we didn't do this on purpose.
Yeah.
This is why. And I don't know. I just, this is where it started to like fall apart for me a little bit.
Yeah. I also saw elements. Trading is a big part of this book, and like I don't have a question about it, but it is a big part of this book. And like Fort's family, like he comes from a long line of people that are traders, not traders, traders. Like
Yeah,
they
like,
trade things.
yeah.
And to me, that was kind of the point of that. Like Tress did all these things to save them, so now they kind of owe her. But
Yeah.
in all honesty, they didn't have to follow her into that void. And
No.
and here's where this also fell flat for me. Like when I watch The Princess Bride, I can tell that Buttercup loves him.
Yeah.
Okay? As you wish, she loves him, right? But I didn't feel that same pull between Charlie
I
and Tress. For
I
her to
never
just up and like
never okay.
bounce.
Like, you're my hand, you're my glove, or whatever the fuck it was in the beginning. It Brandon, you're really good at a lot of things. Romance isn't your thing, homie, right now. Maybe there's
I
better
think that
romance
there
in other books.
I
Maybe
think
I'm
because
just
it was
missing it.
inspired by his wife saying like what would have happened if it would have been the other way around, if the woman
Yeah.
had to go save him. And I don't know. I mean, he sent her cups, so I guess.
I don't know. It's just, I don't know.
Listen, if a man sends me cups, that doesn't mean I'm going to go risk my life to the sorceress. This is just
I don't
not.
know. I just, I don't feel like we got enough in the beginning to
Mhm.
suss out how much Tress felt for him and how much he felt for her.
Yes, there are vibes, but they're very immature
They're
vibes.
faint.
It's not like I'm going to risk my life for you vibes.
No, this
No.
doesn't feel impassioned. She's not screaming and crying at the dock as he's leaving.
Right.
She's very calm and collected.
Right.
It's just
Yeah.
the intensity wasn't there.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It does
Yeah.
make sense. I think it
Another
does.
reason why this was only a 4.5 for me.
Yep. The ending's
So
just, we're getting there.
unfortunately for Tress, Huck has betrayed her and he's used Hoyd to sabotage the crew.
Yeah.
I was absolutely shocked that he would do this. So what did you think about this plot line?
There was a reason. I
I know there
knew
was, but we didn't know when it happened.
I didn't, I mean, I was excited that she had like a little companion and someone to help her, take care of her and like whatnot. But I knew like when she kept asking about his family and he was being vague, I
Mm.
knew Huck wasn't telling the full truth. So it
Oh
was
yeah.
like, I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on here, but I don't trust him. Not fully. And
So
then,
go
yeah.
ahead.
And then he, it was just like,
Yeah.
I was just trying to save you.
Yeah. So there's a TikToker who she was on Kelly Clarkson and Kelly Clarkson like named her the queen of
Queen
book
of Book
talk.
Talk. I remember this. And Book Talk lost their
Book
shit.
talk lost their shit. But
Lost their
I
shit.
lost their shit because they all want to be the queens of book talk. Like,
And they all
come
think that
on.
they know who the fucking Queen of Book Talk is.
Nobody is.
Nobody. It's me,
Nobody
bitches.
is.
It's me, bitches. It's me. I'm your king. It's me, Jessica.
So
Sorry.
when she read the Harry Potter books and she read, was it the third one that we find out Scabbers is a bad guy?
Yeah.
She like threw the book and she was like, Scabbers! Okay.
Yeah.
That was me reading this and seeing Huck be bad. I was like, Huck! What are you doing? We
No.
believed in you. We trusted you.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you.
For you. You were supposed to be the chosen one. You were supposed to bring balance to the force.
Okay, so we've now quoted.
We've mixed a lot of metaphors there.
So we went from Tyra.
Yep.
To Star Wars.
Yep.
Did I miss anybody? Oh,
I don't
I'm sure
know.
there was a Harry Potter reference in there too.
Probably. All right. So, all right, let's talk about Hoyd again.
Fine.
So, speaking of Hoyd, we learned that he was cursed by the sorceress. We don't know why yet.
No.
We do find out why. And he can't talk about his curse at all. He can only answer things that Tress already knows. Or he can't directly answer things like related to the curse. So like at one point she has like a map and she's like, how about here? Can I go here? And he would like talk about it. And when it's something he can't talk about, then that's how she knows that's where the sorceress is. So Tress used that to figure it out where the sorceress was. And it turns out Hoyd let the sorceress curse him just to prove that he could break the curse. Like, is this immortal nonsense, or are we missing something that's connected to the Cosmere?
I think we're missing something.
I
I
think so
think
too.
I think we're gonna see Hoyt and the Doctor again. I
Yes.
think that they are gonna be long-term characters,
Yes.
and I
I think
don't
if
think
we
we're
probably
getting
Googled it, we'd find that that's true.
and I feel like we're gonna get more from those two,
Hmm.
and I'm just waiting to see how he plays it into the next book.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I am assuming there's something happening that we just don't like know about. But it's like when you join the Doctor Who fandom and you start watching
Right.
Doctor Who, people say you can start with Doctor Who at the start of any new Doctor. So pick a Doctor and just start with their first season. But you can't really do that because there are characters like Jack, for example, that ends
Yes.
up being like the head guy.
Sarah Jane,
Huh?
right? Sarah Jane. Like,
Yes.
how many people don't know who Sarah Jane is because they started at 10?
Right. But there's like, so Jack, he's like the head guy, right? He's
Yep.
like in a
The
jar
face
and
of
he's the
Bo.
head of, yes, head of
Face
Bo.
of Bo.
And if you don't have the reference of Jack, you would never understand that that's who he is. You know what I mean? It's like that. I feel like
Yeah.
we joined the Cosmere at the wrong point and we still got a complete story. It starts and it ends and it's a whole complete story,
Yeah.
but we're missing things
Oh,
because
yeah.
we haven't read anything else.
It's like joining a group of friends in the middle of a conversation. You've heard the story, but somehow you
Hmm.
miss part of it,
Hmm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
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 All right. So let's talk about the ending. So
Sorry.
Tress reaches the sorceress by Huck, essentially admitting that he is a familiar of the sorceress, and then her monsters like occupy them to the
Right,
sorceress.
right, right, right.
The sorceress very easily gives Charlie to Tress for a simple trade, the cups that he had been
Yeah.
giving her. But Tress has become far too clever, and
Yeah.
she knows that this man is not Charlie. I don't even know this man. I'm sorry, but I don't know this man. Charlie is in fact Huck, and he's been Huck the entire time. Were you surprised by this?
Yes, and it was stupid.
I
I
wasn't. I was a
I
little
mean,
bit
I
surprised, but
was
there was still a part of me in the back of my mind from Jump that knew that Huck was somebody else.
I okay. It was more of a surprise of disappointment.
Yeah.
Like, this is the choice, Brandon. Out
Hmm.
of all of your options, all of this for it to be a rat?
What bothered me, so I actually think it was kind of clever that Huck was Charlie, but what bothered me was the discussion of them sharing their love for each other. Like they're literally talking about how much they love each other and he's still a motherfucking rat.
No.
Like
This
no.
isn't the Princess Frog.
No.
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 No. Just no. I'm glad we're on the same page here.
Yes. He's a rat.
He's
Like he's literally a
a
rat,
rodent.
girl. Like
He's
you
a
can do
rodent.
better.
He was eating paper when you found him.
Right. Right.
His droppings are rectangle shape.
Right. He's literally a rat.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
All right, so the brave crew, the rest of the Dougs and the crew that we know the names of,
Yay,
they
dogs!
rescue Trust.
I really wish they would have been like every time he said dogs, like there was an echoing in the background. Dogs. Just
So you were a mess. So they
I,
rescue Tress by bringing Hoyd to the sorceress,
yeah,
which it cancels the curse on him because his curse was like, I can break it. And he did
right.
by getting back to her without having the ability to talk about his curse.
Dumbass.
Hoyd is the only being that's able to actually defeat the sorceress. So basically, him showing up, that's all that needed to happen. Tress orders the sorceress to leave the planet and never return.
It's so
And then the crew returns to the ship and they head back to Tress's home. Wah wah. Huck is still a rat because the curse was not truly broken because in order for it to be broken, Tress has to be cursed. But Hoyd breaks the curse because of course he does, and Tress and Charlie get a happily ever after. Was this ending worthy of the book? I hit my mouse instead of my bell.
I'll double tap it. Okay.
Oh,
You're
man.
telling me we went through all of this
All
because
of this.
because Dumb and Dumber had a bet,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Dumber just wanted to
Yeah.
prove Dumb wrong.
Yeah. It was
And
fuck around and find out.
and poor Tress and her beloved got dragged into it.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's bullshit.
I
That's
mean, he kept telling
bullshit.
her, you have all you need to defeat her, which was him.
Him.
You had Huck, who
It's
was
bullshit,
Charlie, and you had Hoyd.
It's bullshit, Brandon.
Listen, Brandon Sanderson is one of those authors that's known for the thickness of his book. This book needed another 100 pages to
I
finish
thought
it.
you were going to say something else. I don't know. We've been reading
We've read way too many romance novels if that's where your brain
I
went.
was like, thickness? What are you talking about, young lady?
I don't know what Brandon Sanderson's dick looks like.
I was going to say, how much research did you do for this book?
That was a deep dive. It was balls deep.
Hashtag not sponsored.
What is happening to us? Okay, that was not an ending worthy of this book. This book was really good, and then it was like, we're done.
Guess what? You get to go home now. Bye.
Mm-hmm. All done now.
All done.
So the last thing I want to talk about is the writing. Besides this ending, there are so many quotes that are just brilliant in this book, and you and I were texting each other screenshots the entire time that we were reading. So there are also very clever elements, like the sorceress has a laptop and and technology, and Hoyd calls it a laptop, and then he's like, I mean a screen, a tablet. So what did you think overall of his writing?
I loved his writing.
I did too.
There is one page, or technically it's two. It's 105 and 106.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about, I'm going to read it. Mm-hmm. Whenever one does discover a moment of joy, beauty enters the world. Human beings, we can't create energy. We can only harness it. We can't create matter. We can only shape it. We can't create life. We can only nurture it. But we can create light. This is one of the ways, the effervescence of ways purpose is discovered.
Mm-hmm. I'm busting out my journal because I put a quote in it from this book. This is on page 194. Worry has weight and is an infinitely renewable resource. One might say worries are the only things you can make heavier simply by thinking about them. And to me, that was like a aha moment. Like, there's a monster in my brain that controls my doubt. Like, it was like that.
Yeah.
It was big. His writing is very poetic and epic, and I 100% see why he has so many fans.
Yes, he is. I see the dedication. I see the joy. He is an excellent writer.
Mm-hmm.
I have no qualms with his style, his word use, any of it. Mm-hmm. Was the ending a little lackluster for me?
Yeah.
Were there parts of the book that dragged maybe a smidge? Possibly.
But here's the thing, Molly. If a book doesn't have a great ending, how often are we going to rate it this high? We're fucking not. Because if the ending falls apart, we're not giving it 4.5 or 4.75 stars.
That's how good his structure is. Yeah. I know. It's not fair. It's not fair.
It's a really good book.
I know. He's brilliant.
And, I mean, he's a good writer.
Brilliant. He's a really good writer.
He's a really good writer.
He's brilliant. I mean, he just popped. Isn't this the book he just popped out of nowhere?
So he wrote 4 secret projects. They were not on deadline. He just wrote them. And yeah, good for him.
Good for fucking you.
And he talks about it in the postscript of this book. He started a Kickstarter campaign to actually get these 4 books published because they were not books that had been optioned. Like, he just wrote them.
Brandon Sanderson, just use your own fucking money.
But I think, and this is one of the things he talks about in the postscript, the Kickstarter campaign was actually the thing that really gave him the notoriety of from more of the book world than just the nerdy fantasy fans. This was the thing that really blew him up for him. So, okay. I mean, I'm hooked. I want to read all of it.
I'm definitely down for another Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah, maybe next season we start the Mistborn series. We do the Mistborn.
Yeah, that's where Piper suggested I start.
Well, that is where most people recommend. It's really the first,
Mm-hmm.
it's a trilogy, and it's the
Yeah.
first thing that he really like put out there.
I mean, kickstarting to save money because writing takes forever is no lie. I have all my research mapped out and all that,
Hmm.
and right now with research, writing, and possibly editing, I'm looking at 2.5 years finishing this book.
You think it'll be just a single book, or do you think it'll be a series?
Um,
You can't
I'm
create this whole universe and not make a sequel.
well. I was talking about this with Matt last night. I've decided to use this verse as like a nothing verse. So like everyday life in a
Hmm.
nothing universe, right?
I like
I'm
that.
gonna do a different book for different like types of things.
Hmm.
I was thinking I had a dream the other night about a novella about
Hmm.
how this woman, all her job is just firing people all day.
It's like how we talked about with my roommate is a vampire. Like, we never get characters that have like the most mundane
Right.
tasks
Right.
within these
And
worlds.
it's not like in my vampires, my roommate's a vampire. He really didn't get a super special power.
No, his power was making fruit.
Bananas. Bananas.
Literally bananas.
Bananas. So like I get like writers write epics. That's
Hmm.
the whole point of us
Hmm.
diving into it. But this is also kind of cozy sci-fi, right?
Hmm.
Regular normal life.
Hmm.
It's kind of what this is, like,
Yeah.
right? Like Tress was just living a normal life.
She was just a window washer.
It was just a window.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed this one. I would definitely be open to putting Brandon Sanderson back on the pod. We've already started working on our season 9 outline because, in case you don't know, if you are an author,
Totally lovely
or
timey-wimey.
you're connected to authors, we have a Google form attached to our website.
Yes.
It's attached to all of our social media and our link tree. You
Yep.
can fill that out and request for us to put you on pod.
Yeah.
And because we've done that, we have a significant number of authors that are reaching out. And so now we're having to do harder work because in the past, we've either reached out to authors or we've been going to cons where the authors have kind of been like provided
They
for
are
us.
just kind of handed to us.
Yeah, so we
Thanks for
didn't
the
have to
Atlas Book
like
Festival BT dub.
necessarily vet authors before, and now we do because we have had some authors that have reached out to us that are not people that we want on our podcast.
And look,
So
not all books are Book Bestie books. You know what we forgot though? And I keep forgetting to say this, but we're doing something really special, guys.
yeah,
April's been working her ass off for this, actually.
I really didn't. It took me a couple hours.
That's a long time. Tell them what we're doing.
So we're starting a Patreon. We've been ad free up until this point, and we are thinking of moving towards ads. We're still a little nervous about what that will look like, but we're starting a Patreon. It will go live, or it went live on March 1st. So
Mm-hmm.
you're hearing this episode after that point. We'll be plugging on social media too. It'll be linked in our link tree and on our website and all that. But
Places and things.
subscriptions start at $3. And at $3, all you're doing is supporting us and the content that we've been making for you for 8 seasons.
Yeah.
$3 a month. It's not very much. It's less than coffee at Starbucks. I feel like I'm like making one of those like in the
Like,
arms of an angel.
and for only 3 months, for three
$3
dollars
a
a
month,
month,
you can
you
support
too can
starving book
support your
besties.
local podcaster and help them stay off the streets.
Yeah. When were we ever on the streets? Okay. Anyway, so they started
You don't
$3
know
a
my
month.
life. You don't know my life. You don't know my life.
And we're going to jump up from there. There's downloadable content that you can get that is at a higher price point. But really, we just are trying to connect more with you all and,
Yeah.
recoup some
We have
money
some.
for some of the travel we're going to be doing. I mean, that's really,
I mean, you guys want us bigger, we want to be bigger, but we
yeah,
can't do bigger without funding.
yeah.
And Spotify isn't kicking down our door, and hashtag Audible doesn't seem to care about us.
It's really heartbreaking that iHeartRadio hasn't called us yet.
I'm really, it's an audacity we haven't heard from Audible.
Right. So we have a Patreon. Our Patreon username is Book Besties Podcast. I will put a link below, but it's Book Besties Podcast is our username. You will see many pictures of our faces, so you'll know you reached the right place.
I
But
hope
support
so.
our content. Like I said, it's only $3 a month to just support our content.
And there's
And
going to be other stuff
Patreon
too.
can be canceled at any time. So if you just decide
Yeah.
I'm going to support you for like 3 months and then I don't want to anymore, like you paid $9.
And we're doing a free trial.
Yes, we are doing free trials for some of the categories that you can try out and decide if that was really worth your $10. And then, yeah. So we will be moving to providing ads within our content, and there will be a tier where you can pay to not have ads.
Yeah.
So if you like our content and you want to keep it ad-free, it's only $5 a month for you to get the ad-free episodes. Personally, I hate ads enough to pay $5 a month.
I know.
So,
but we pay ourselves enough. So, y'all's turn.
Well, in a kinder way of saying that.
No, I like the way I'm saying it. It's y'all's turn.
Would appreciate any support you can give us. So $3 a month to just be a fan of our content.
I mean, or, just be our fans and like our content.
But also, we're promoting the Patreon right now, so $3 a month.
Too. Yeah. I'm here, guys.
Molly, you're broken.
Okay. We just did an hour episode, man. That's really long for a normal episode.
Okay, well, I think that's it. Next week, we're covering this book. Tom put it right here. I don't have a physical copy of it. It is The Sundown Motel by Simone St. James. I started it today, and it's about murder. Murder. I love that we went from romance to fantasy to murder. Like, it's
who we are.
We all got that ADHD. 80 of the HDs.
We are genre fluid. I really need to coin that before somebody takes it.
Do, because people have been using it, and it's gonna show up as the queens of TikTok, of book talk, using genre fluid, and I'm gonna be like,
with a pen.
We were there first.
Yeah, Tom, get on it, homie.
I'll tell him. All right, that's it. We'll see you next week.
He's got his fancy business degree. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on Book Besties. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The views discussed here are those of April and Molly, not those of anyone else. Today's book was Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. Your Book Besties are Molly Biggs and April Watkins, editing by Thomas Watkins, and music is Sleep Sweetly by Prigida. Don't forget to follow the Book Besties on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. If you'd like to contact the Book Besties, please email us at bookbestiespod@gmail.com or visit our website, bookbestiespodcast.com. Until next time, besties, get lost in your favorite book.